What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, we're going to be kind of taking a look at me in the Master League. If you've been following me on the streams for the last couple of times we've been streaming, you guys know that I've been struggling in the Master League. I've been struggling to get any footing. I've been having a bad time. I've been losing elo. I can't seem to make anything work. On stream on Saturday, HomeSliceHenry came in my chat and he recommended me a team that he was using and gave me permission to make a video on it since I did well with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over these three sets that I've played. There's a 2-3, a 2-2-1, and a 5-0. All three of these sets kind of lead up to me figuring out how to play this team, but I wanted to take you guys through that journey and also kind of show off this team. But also, if you had any doubts on whether or not you should invest in getting Zacian for the Master League, let me be the first or maybe even the last to tell you that it's worth having. You should definitely get one if you have the means to do so and you intend to play Master League. Zacian, it took me a little while to figure out how to make it work properly, but now that I've kind of got an idea, it is just so freaking good, especially with the rest of this team, where we're closing up with a Tapu Bulu Rhyperior core, which is incredibly strong and cohesive. Very few things can reliably break it. And Zacian does very good at pulling out things like Ho-Oh and other things that maybe Bulu doesn't want to see, like steals, right? Because they don't want to deal with Rhyperior. So I'm going to get into these games here right now. I just wanted to show you guys the kind of like the process, right? So this first game, we're going to see Yveltal on the lead. So get the music going here. And I'm immediately going to swap in because I would rather be able to come in with energy later on. That is louder than I expected it to be. But the opponent now comes in with a Dawn Wings Necrozma, and I'm just like, I did not expect to see this thing because people are running Yveltal. This thing on save swap just gets eaten alive, but you know, obviously it's in front of us. We have to make do with what we've got. I'm also running Quick Attack in these first couple of games because I had been more comfortable, and I feel like maybe that's where I was going wrong. I prefer overall having Snarl on my Zacian, especially when it's the safe swap. Using Snarl is just because of its energy generation on the save swap, it just makes more sense to me because you're able to generate energy quicker than with Quick Attack. And even though you kind of lack that fast move pressure, on save swap, you're usually not worried about getting things like farm down. So in this case, I do shield here. I was afraid of a Moongeist, but I also, in hindsight, realized the opponent didn't even farm up to enough. So that's me, but I still get to come out of this with a Rock Wrecker loaded, and the opponent has a Xerneas in the back. So I'm thinking I'm doing okay here. What I need to do is I need to leave myself within range to get to another Rock Wrecker. Come in with my Tapu Bulu. The opponent really can never get to two moves here. Also, apparently Yveltal is just throwing bullet seeds. If you guys have been enjoying this stupid bug that is now part of this game, where the opponent's Pokemon are just throwing moves that they don't have. But opponent's going to be able to take us out here with Oblivion Wing, and I can get to this Rock Wrecker, but I can also take out with a Breaking Swipe. I'm over farming as much as I can, but unfortunately, I lose this Cap Tie to the opponent. Charge Attack priority. They're able to take us out with the Dark Pulse. So we're not going to win the first game here, but again, this is a learning experience for me. I'm learning the Master League at this point. Like, it's all new stuff to me. So we get a Shadow Mewtwo lead in the next game again. Like, there's things that I don't expect, right? Like when you're playing in the Master League and there's nothing but like Yveltals, Rhyperiors, right? There's things you can start writing off. Like I don't expect to see a lot of Dialgas. I don't expect to see very many Mewtwo's or either form of Necrozma at this point. Now, the opponent comes in with a Palkia here, and the Bulu in back has been really, really critical to be able to shut down so many things like Palkia and Rhyperior, right? There's a lot of things that Bulu does extremely well into, and while you normally want to lead it, you know, because people are, you know, leading Rhyperior and things, but the thing with Bulu is that if you put it in the back, it still gives you a chance to do well, because if you can pull out that hardest counter to it, excuse me, it'll do well. Right, so as long as we can keep it off of the Ho-Ohs and the Steals, we're gonna do fine. Now the opponent has Togekiss, and I don't know what happened, but I've seen an ungodly amount of Togekiss, and y'all know how much I hate Charm, okay? And I have seen the most obscene number of double Charm, triple Fairy, like just nonsense teams, and that's part of why I've been struggling in the Master League. Is maybe it's because just all the teams that I've been seeing make absolutely zero sense to me, given the actual meta that's around us. But The Ancient Power here, not going to do a lot. I wasn't really afraid of any moves that this Togekiss was going to throw. The opponent comes in with their Mewtwo, trying to maybe catch a Wild Charge, but we're going to catch on the Rhyperior instead. Either get the farm down and get to a Rock Wrecker. The opponent does get the Side Strike off with the Shadow Mewtwo, but we're going to be able to farm down and get this Wild Charge off and take that game. And now we're going in the right direction. Getting into this next game, we got Ho-Oh on the lead, and I realized I forgot to get my button set up. So if we get any booms, we're going to hit the button manually with the mouth. All right. So the opponent, again, safe swapping a Dawn Wings Necrozma. Like, do we not respect? I mean, I get it. Okay. All right. I'm not going to try to be too rude, because I understand that there are definitely some trainers that's like, this is all they have, right? Because like Necrozma was a very accessible Go Fest Pokemon, so people are going to use it because they have it. It's like, it's because I'm so unprepared for it is why it was frustrating to me. Okay. Like, I'm basically unable to do anything because I have Quick Attack. If I had Snarl on the Zacian at this point, it'd be fine. But boom! We take out Ho-Oh because the opponent maybe was trying to call a Breaking Swipe. Save 2 shields for their Togekiss. I don't know. But we're going to be able to take out the Togekiss with both berries, and that's going to be a good game. After the horrible time that I've had, that felt like something that was just handed to me as the game's saying, here you go, you get a free one. Now, you all have experienced this. You get to live my pain right here in the video. How many TMs do I need to use to get Snarl on my Zacian? At least 10. I'm sitting here with my head back and I'm like, please just give it to me. And they finally give it to me and we get into the next game. Primarina in the lead, not great. I don't know if it has Waterfall, and I actually didn't get to find out, but it looked like Charm, but I also couldn't tell because I didn't see an animation at all. But this is where, this is kind of where I'm talking about, where we can draw out these Ho-Ohs. Zacian on Snarl, if you time your moves correctly, you can get both shields at the expense of 1 shield from this thing. It's ridiculous. Watch. So three Snarls. Now I could go for Wild Charge here, but I was afraid I might get incinerated down. I hadn't played this matchup out yet enough to know, but as long as I leave myself within 1 more Snarl to get to the next Wild Charge, I can still get there, which I knew at least that much was going to happen. So my opponent now is down 0 shields to my 1. I have my Rhyperior come in. The opponent swaps in their Rhyperior, and I'm going to be able to come in with Bulu. And I should have... It's hard to say, right? Like, I should have just thrown the move here, but my thinking is I don't want to give the Ho-Oh any extra farm. And Rhyperior seems to be a problem for them, given that they gave up Switch just to be able to get their Rhyperior in the way here. So I'm going to come in with my Rhyperior, and I'm just going to hope that whatever happens here, I'm going to be able to take the Rock Wrecker to the house on the Primarina. Opponent goes for the Sacred Fire. We get the attack drop. I try to over farm here, maybe farm down, but the opponent is closer to another move than I thought. And I'm like, this is just a Brave Bird, surely. But no, it's another Sacred Fire. And another attack drop. Yay, RNG, costing us games. And it was Waterfall Primarina. If it was Charm, I don't think I had a chance, but I might have been able to get to 2 moves here. But not going to be able to do much into this one. Primarina is a pain. Good game. Nope. So that was the end of that first set. I think I just played a partial set because I switched teams in the middle of the set because I was mauling out of my mind. But we get a Bulu in the next game, and this is a terrible lead. We're going to swap right away into the Zacian and start trying to get some energy. The opponent's Bulu here will always throw the madness. I'm just not going to shield. I figure later on in the game, if I can, maybe I can come in with Rhyperior and get a Rock Wrecker off or something if the opponent brings in something I can farm down. But the opponent staying in here maybe tells me that they don't have a strong answer in the back to Zacian. So I'm thinking maybe they have Palkia in the back, right? And maybe Double Dragon. I don't know. But the opponent's staying in here, and then they go for a catch onto Rhyperior. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go back into our Rhyperior because the opponent has just given up their switch advantage, and I can farm down their Rhyperior, and I don't have to shield. Now, I do have a Shadow Rhyperior. It is, in my opinion, much better. And if you don't have a Shadow, a regular will work fine. And I completely forgot to bring it up in the beginning, but if you don't have Tapu Bulu, you can use Palkia instead. A little nugget for y'all who stuck around this long in the video. I appreciate it. So the Bulu is standing in front of us. We're able to get rid of that Rhyperior. The Zacian coming in. And the opponent is playing in such a way that, again, I've seen this team. This is a team that HomeSliceHenry himself featured. I believe it had Rhyperior and Palkia in the back. So I come in with my Bulu aggressively here to start getting ahead on energy, and I'm hoping that even though I get hit with a Madness here, I'm going to be able to do something with it. The opponent now comes in, actually have a Dragonite, so perhaps they're one of those who don't have a usable Palkia origin, which is not a small number of people, unfortunately. But we're going to be able to get to a second move here because the opponent decides not to throw a Dragon Claw, which thankfully they didn't. I think they had to go for the superpower anyway. We're going to be able to almost farm down this Tapu Bulu. And this is one of those rare occasions where I'm like, man, if only my Zacian had Snarl, right? Madness is going to take out my Bulu here, and then we're going to try to Snarl down, and it actually ends up being a tie, which is okay. I mean, I'm not going to lose Elo from the tie thing. Good game. And we get a nice lead here, Ho-Oh. Now, I've been on both sides of this matchup, actually. Like, the Ho-Oh really doesn't have that bad of a time into Rhyperior, especially Shadow. It's just a matter of calling those baits. But the opponent comes in with a Palkia, and thankfully we also get the attack drop and a shield from the Breaking Swipe. Now that's one of the, this is one of the reasons why I didn't come in with Bulu here, is because I still have to, I can't farm them down regardless. So I'm going to come in with my Zacian instead to try and get energy and be able to come out of this Palkia matchup with as much energy as possible so that I can throw wild charges at the Ho-Oh before they're going to be able to incinerate me down. And this is going to also help me get shields back. Now, I tried to wait to see if the damage would register, but I realized if I waited, I would actually let an incinerate sneak through. But we left ourselves, again, with one shy of the wild charge, so we're going to be able to get one Snarl in and then the wild charge before the incinerate matters. Or registers, whatever, you know, whatever the word. And now we have 2 shields up to 0. And I'm going to hope that whatever's in the back is weak to Tapu Bulu, because typically if you lead Ho-Oh, you're going to have 2 things in the back that are weak to Bulu. Look at how much damage those Mud Slaps are doing, my goodness. And they have a Zarude in the back. So thankfully for us, we were correct in saving our Tapu Bulu. Honestly, Zacian would have been fine here, but Bulu is better because it resists all the energy from Zarude. Good game. So now I'm really kind of starting to feel good about this. You know, we've gotten a good mix of wins. I've literally, like, up until this point, I had been going 1-4s, 2-3s, 0-5s. Like, I think I've had 2 positive sets in Master League over the last several days with, just in general. Like, I was having a bad time. Now, opponent save swaps in a Rhyperior here. What I should do is come in with Bulu, but I foolishly stay in a little too long and then come in with my Bulu. Now, I couldn't tell if we got an attack drop. I think I saw it, but I wasn't sure. But a non-Shadow Rock Wrecker is not going to hurt me too bad here. And I'm going to be able to overfarm by just a bit and go for this Madness. I should be able to farm down if the opponent decides to shield, because I can also shield. But I'll also farm down with my Rhyperior. So we're just going to leave it up to them and see what they want to do. But the opponent decides to let it go and save the 2 shields that they have. So maybe they're just trying to sweep with something in the back here. They've already shown me that they have their Xerneas. So their Xerneas is over farming and getting incredibly low. They're actually within range of 1 Mudslap being able to knock out. The opponent has a Palkia in the back. This is just going to be a dominating matchup here for the Zacian. And I'm just going to go for this Breaking Swipe. I want to get a couple of debuffs. Doesn't really matter, I guess, since we can still tank 2 Aqua Tails. We got the debuff. And finally, my debuff luck is turning around. Again, something if you guys know me at all. I don't get debuffs. Like, at all, right? Like, my 50-50s may as well be like 10%. And the opponents that I usually face, like, they always seem to get the debuffs when they need them. It's like Scald, Crunch, Breaking Swipe. It's like 100%, man. It's ridiculous. But in this case, they come back in with the Xerneas, and I'm thinking, okay, as long as I get a move ready, I can Snarl down here, and I should be able to throw a move. But I do make a critical error here. I don't realize, 1, that I have a Wild Charge loaded, and 2, I mean, I know I lose Charge Attack priority here anyway, I'm pretty sure, but I didn't realize that they had a move bank, so I'm desperately now trying to get to this Breaking Swipe. We go down with the move, the opponent has 1 HP, and it's over. Good game. I completely lost track of energy, and that cost me that game 100%. The opponent also played that very, very well. Now, this trainer, if y'all saw Yasser Elite's video, he featured somebody running triple Tapu, and that is this team. So they have a Tapu Koko, and I'm like, okay, so I didn't know what the team was at the time, but I assumed it was probably triple Tapu, so I'm like, okay, is Tapu Fini in the back? And if so, my Rhyperior is going to have a very bad time. The opponent's running Thunder also on their Tapu. So I also kind of realized from this that I should be able to overfarm by a little bit more since they did the Thunder. If they threw Madness there, I would have been fine with that too. But the opponent comes in with a Tapu Fini and is able to get the farm down before I can get to a move. But now I just come in with my Bulu here. And the opponent is going to be like doing nothing but resisted damage. And they go ahead and catch a move on their Bulu. So now that they've let this go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to catch a move on my Rhyperior and save shields and energy on my Bulu for their Fini. And then I'm going to just come in with my Rhyperior and look to just do as much damage as possible here before just going down. I know there's really no point in shielding because that's basically just going to allow them to farm me down after this. So now my Bulu comes in and I'm just going to try to go and take theirs out with the energy lead that I've got. The opponent does have quite a bit of extra energy though on their Bulu, but they're shielding, which is great. That basically means that with how low they are, I should be able to farm them down and get to a Grass Knot against the Fini if it comes in, but the opponent not able to get to another move. I'm easily just getting 2 Grass Knots in here. Opponent gonna go for a charge move. I think that was charge attack priority from the looks of it. Gonna go for this Grass Knot. The opponent is at the move, and I don't even care if this is a Madness or a Surf. I'm gonna shield it because I know that they haven't been in long enough to have 2 moves. We go for the Grass Knot, and I've never thrown a Grass Knot into a Tapu Fini in the Master League before, so we're gonna hope that this is enough damage. And it is. Boom! Taking him out. Good game. Okay, getting into this next game here. We've got Rhyperior versus a Purified Mewtwo, and I remember this game, and I feel like a fool, and you guys are going to see why I feel like a fool. So I don't really have anything that can just safely deal with Mewtwo, and that's the problem that I have, right? Again, it's one of those things that you just don't expect to see. I shield up the Psy Strike here because I thought that, like, they had built up to enough for an Ice Beam, and I really didn't want to take an Ice Beam. Opponent not shielding that, like, that could have been a Rock Wrecker, and I probably should have just thrown it. This is another reason why you just don't bait. Just don't do it. Just don't do it, because now I'm down all of my shields. The opponent comes in with Yveltal, and based on this, I should actually be able to get both shields here back if I want to. Now I'm going to go for my other Rock Wrecker, and the opponent gets Cacti, and I can't believe it. I thought they were off by 1. Turns out that they weren't. I'm gonna come in with my Zacian here. They are gonna be able to get to a Oblivion Wing here, I believe, before me getting to my Play Rough. Gonna do some damage, but I am gonna throw this Play Rough after I get a little bit more energy. I know that this isn't gonna be enough to knock out, and this is, again, one of the downsides of having Snarl is you don't get the chance to farm stuff like this down. The opponent has a Duskmane Necrozma in the back, and they have absolutely no respect for Yveltal. And if they don't see him, that team probably does fine. But I'm like, there's no way I can win this game. I'm just going to top left. You can have it. We get the 2-2-1, get literally 0 elo for it, and we're going to get into the final set. Now getting into the next team, we get Zygarde. This is a pretty neutral lead for Rhyperior because we can do super effective with the breaking swipes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to chip it for a bit, and then I'm going to come in with my Zacian a little bit after. And what this is going to allow me to do here is it's going to soften up the Zygarde. If I get a debuff, they stay in here, and they're not doing any damage with these Dragon Tails, and they actually decide to throw in energy. This is an Earthquake. I'm fine. This was debuffed. I'm really not worried about this, and they come in with Ho-Oh. And again, we can go for 3 Snarls into these Incinerates, get this Wild Charge off, and then we can do the same thing over again. 1, 2, 3. The opponent hasn't even thrown a move yet, and they're going to have to throw immediately if they want to get rid of my Zacian. Otherwise, we're going to be able to get another Wild Charge off, and there's Zacian just going off again. Free shield advantage, and we got the hardest counter to Tapu Bulu out on the field. We can safely absorb at least one of these moves from the Ho-Oh, and depending on how many moves they can get to, maybe they don't even get to another one, but I am going to go for a Breaking Swipe. I was thinking about Breaking Swiping the Ho-Oh. The opponent sees value in their Ho-Oh, I guess, so they decide they're going to swap out. I'm going to bring in my Bulu with 2 shields. I'm going to be fine here. I'm going to actually farm up to double moves because the Ho-Oh is actually low enough for a Nature's Madness to knock out. I have used Bulu enough, and I've been on the wrong end of that Ho-Oh matchup enough times to know about how much damage these Nature's Madnesses do to a Ho-Oh. They're in range. If they're in the red, they're in range. Like they're within that range. Now I can go for 1 Bullet Seed, a little bit extra energy, not going to do very much damage here, but we're going to go for the Madness. That does enough to knock out. And then they have a Kyogre in the back, and the game is over because they concede. 2 Shield Flexing also. Good game. Get your Zygarde out of here. Says the guy with the Zygarde. Don't listen to me. We get a Florges lead in the next game here, and I actually have seen a Florges running Petal Blizzard before. I didn't know the counts for it. I know after the fact that it's 8 to Petal Blizzard, so I never have to worry about this if they throw before I get to Rock Wrecker. But I'm just going to full send this Rock Wrecker here and hope that I can just, just get through this thing. The opponent lets it go here, which is huge. We're going to have to see what's in the back. This could be a problem, but they have the Yveltal and they have a Palkia in the back. So we are absolutely sitting very pretty right now as the opponent. I mean, they don't make this trend. They probably don't have a good Origin Palkia, so they use the regular one. But that Play Rough is going to do an insane amount of damage, and we have Bulu and Rhyperior to deal with the rest of the Yveltal. Remember how close we were to the Rock Wrecker as well. I'm going to get a full farm down here of this Palkia. I'm going to shield to preserve this energy. The Yveltal was not even close to a move, so I should be able to get at least 2 moves off here against it. I'm going to go for the Play Rough first because I don't want to debuff my defense yet, because I think I can still get to at least another Wild Charge, if not 2, before the opponent's going to be able to take me out. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and just fire off this Wild Charge because my Switch Clock's coming back up, and I can swap out into Rhyperior, get to this Rock Wrecker with a shield left, and we're going to be able to take out the Yveltal, because if you didn't know, Shadow Rock Wrecker one-shots, boom, taking out the Yveltal. Good game. And with some solid streak of wins, I'm feeling really, really good about this team right now. So we're going to see mirror leads in this next game, and I'm not really sure how to handle this, but what I'm going to do is go for the Breaking Swipe right away. We win charge attack priority, and if you guys didn't know, this is why you want 15 attack on pretty much all of the Pokemon that you build for the Master League, because it's based off of the attack stat of the Pokemon, and having 15 attack means you're going to have the most possible attack. If you have a 14 attack Rhyperior, for example, you will always lose charge attack priority to a Rhyperior with 15 attack. If they both have the same attack stat, meaning 15, right? There's an actual number behind that 15 attack. That's just a range, 0 to 15. But there's an actual number behind that, like 100, or like it's 100 and it's something. But like it's an actual physical stat. And if that's lower, then you lose. But if it's the same, it's a coin flip. It's a 50-50. So we win the coin flip here, and we get the attack drop. Now, I'm thinking if I shield, I should be able to fully farm this thing down, and I'm going to opt to do that. But the opponent decides to come in with a Waterfall Primarina, and I come in with my Tapu Bulu, and I'm just like, try something. I'm not going to shield this. It's only a Hydro Cannon or Disarming Voice, which it is the Disarming Voice. But because they're on the, Waterfall, I resist the fast moves, and I can live these moves and get to 3. I'm going to throw Grass Knots here because there's no point in me throwing a Nature's Madness because I don't know if it would knock out, and I'm really not worried about it. I just want to get this Primarina off the field because it's got Waterfall. Excuse me, and my Rhyperior does not want to see this. Opponent decides to take their shield advantage, and they show that they have a Xerneas in the back. So Zacian and Rhyperior are looking pretty good right now. I'm immediately going to come in with my Zacian, and I wish I had come in with my Rhyperior instead because the opponent's going to be able to get to a Rock Wrecker here as I get to my Play Rough, but that's okay. Rock Wrecker is going to do a lot of damage, but the fast move pressure from the Xerneas is not going to do very much. I'm going to go for this Wild Charge pretty much as soon as I get it, or I'm going to go for the Play Rough here just to do a little bit more damage. I went for the Play Rough because it's stab, and the same type attack bonus. You're going to be able to do a little bit more damage with that Play Rough, I believe. Wild Charge would be a good move, but I figured I was only getting to 1 move. I might as well go for the Play Rough. Moonblast is going to take us out here, but we can come in with Rhyperior and just go for the fast move down with how low they were, and that's a good game. Whew, man, I'm telling you, I was sweating at this point. We get a Ho-Oh lead, and again, we're going to be fine here. The opponents like to swap out of these immediately, and they go straight into a Palkia, and again, I will go for this Breaking Swipe. It's like I still need a move to knock out anyway, and Breaking Swipe may or may not even get a shield from the opponent. This trainer decides not to shield it, which puts me in a really awkward spot because I'm like, well, I can't farm down because I have Snarl, right? So I just have to bank up a ton of energy, but we're going to do the same exact thing that we did last time we had this situation. If you remember, I think it was in the last set where we had a Ho-Oh lead with a Palkia, right? We come in with the Zacian because we can overfarm a bunch of energy, and then we can leave with 100 energy, get to a bunch, at least 2 Wild Charges against the Ho-Oh before they're able to incinerate down, and we're able to put a lot of pressure on their shields in this game here. So I'm actually, yeah, I went for my 3. The opponent's Incinerate didn't register, so I'm going to take the debuff damage here, but we do live, thankfully. And then we're going to be able to get another Wild Charge off again, because the damage won't register if I only go for a 3-turn move. And then we're able to get shield advantage. Rhyperior can come in, and it can absorb this energy, but I don't know that I want it to, so I'm going to shield anyway. Because the opponent's likely not going to stay in here after this point, and they come in with a Landorus. I didn't see if we got the debuff or not, but Rock Wrecker here is going to do a ton of damage, and we have Tapu Bulu in the back, and we go ahead and swap right into it here. Now, the opponent is going to have to go for Stone Edges here, and I know that I can live one, so I'm going to let this go. And they actually go for Sandsear Storm, which, I mean, technically they need a Sandsear Storm and a Stone Edge to knock out anyway, but this felt a little bit quick. And so at this point, I'm like, all right, if they get the Stone Edge, that's fine. They actually don't take us out, which is huge. I thought that it would be enough, but thankfully it was not. We're going to get the Madness off. The opponent shields here, and now we might be in a winning position here. We're going to be able to get this farm down almost. However, it's all going to come down to how close is that Ho-Oh to a move. If they're at a move, we lose. If we can get to this Rock Wrecker, we're good. But they just quit. I guess they didn't have the energy, which is fine. Good game. Getting into the next game against one of the members of my Discord, Virgil Namato, very skilled trainer here. We are going to be seeing a Xerneas in the lead, and just like the last Xerneas, we're going to stay in. And I'm actually, like, they go farm up to 7, which is back-to-back close combat, so I'm actually going to I'm gonna shield this. I'm gonna just respect this because I don't want to get nailed. And we're going to go for the Breaking Swipe here to hopefully get a shield back. And the opponent does shield back. They do stay in here, and we are going to be able to get to this Rock Wrecker again. I'm going to shield. The opponent has energy for multiple for an extra close combat here. I'm not messing around. I'm not. I try to undercharge this in case they let it go. It doesn't matter because their defense is debuffed so hard. They have a shield advantage here. I'll come in with my my Zacian, not the Xerneas, Zacian into the Landorus. The sounds are getting me, man. Stone Edge is going to do a lot of damage here. I'm surprised the opponent didn't go for Sandsears because I believe that Sandsear is probably the better move to go for here. I get going for the raw damage, but being able to lower the incoming damage of the Pokemon in front of you usually does well, especially with the change to Mud Shot. I think that 2 Sandsears would have been enough there anyway. I could be wrong. I actually don't really know this matchup as well as I wish I did. But now we're going to come back in with Rhyperior, and we're just going to kind of try to get to this Breaking Swipe, right? So we know that the opponent, you know, they haven't shown us their third yet. I'm kind of hoping that Bulu does well enough into the back Pokemon. The opponent's going to throw a move here, and we can farm down with Bulu if they stay in. They do go for a Stone Edge here, and I'm thinking that's all their energy. They swap out with 3, and they have a Palkia in the back, and I'm just thinking here, I think we have a chance to win. As long as that Landorus did not swap out with a move, I think we're going to be okay. Now, does the Aqua Tail knock out? It is resisted, but if it isn't, we're going to be able to get to the Madness. It is not going to, or we're not going to live that, but we do get this farm down of the Palkia. And if this Lando has a move, we lose, but the Mud Slap knocks out, and that's going to be a good game. We're going to cap off this final set with a 5-0 against the battle with our friend. That's actually, I mean, I love seeing trainers whose names I recognize, because at least I know, like, I could say, hey man, good game, you played it really well. He did, he played that really well. We cap off on a 5-0, and I'm finally getting closer to veteran rank. And I'm getting there, man. I'm starting to understand, but the whole point here was to try to, like, show you guys, like, yeah, I started off really bad, but through understanding some kind of things about the team, some of the matchups, and just trying to figure it out, I was able to finally adjust and even clinch a 5-0 against some really, you know, awkward team compositions that, you know, they did require quite a bit of finesse, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you guys are having some fun in Master League, or if you're, you know, sitting through Psychic Cup, or even just sitting out this week, because I almost wanted to, honestly, myself. That's going to do it for me for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.